Hello to all again. Welcome to one of our monthly webinars. Today we have with us Mrs. Margaret Fabiola Carneiro. Mrs. Margaret is involved in PMI from 1919 when she has started as a volunteer and she ended up to serve at the PMI Board of Directors for 2 terms, totally 6 years. She has also been awarded as one of the 25 most influential women at PMI Awards, and right now she is serving as director at the Agile Alliance. In her professional career, she has led high-performing teams and has delivered impactful results. As a lifelong learner, he has earned numerous certifications like PMP, Prince 2, MSP, and a lot of others. In addition, she has authored several articles and co-authored 7 books. Her aim is to empower professionals to lead successfully in complex and dynamic environments, ensuring their projects generate positive and lasting impacts on society. Mrs. Margaret, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes,
Oh, good. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, talk about a subject that I think is very important, that is hybrid project management. And I'm been working in project management for 30 years now, so it's a pleasure to share some of my experience with you. I hope you enjoy. Let me see. Are you seeing the slides?
yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. So again, good morning. Very good to be here. And I'd like to make a question to you just to put in your mind, and we'll discuss this during our presentation, okay? The question is it uh, hybrid management? Is it an evolution, a revolution, or simply a buzzword? Think about that. So we will discuss more about that. Before, it's important to remember what is a project. A project solves a problem or sees an opportunity. It is unique, temporary, and delivers a product or service. It requires activities, resources, time, and money, always. No matter what kind of approach are you using, this is a project, all right? And all projects born from these needs. But what we are seeing now is kind of two poles. Today we see two main poles in project management. On one side, you see the classical or more waterfall or predictive approach. And the other side, you see the adaptive management or agile. Okay. But the question is, do you think there are just those two uh, extremes, or there are some other approach between those two? This is the question that we should make ourselves. Well, according to Wisok, he divides the projects according to life cycles, and he recognized some life cycles like linear or waterfall, that is approach where we have a control and predictability. For example, if you are building a bridge, you know what kind of bridge you will build, you know the requirements, you know the phases that you have to do to build this bridge, etc., etc. So it's a classical example of a linear or waterfall approach, okay, or life cycle. But he also put another life cycle as the traditional. Another one is incremental. Incremental or staggering waterfall. That means that you can deliver progressively. Example, you can build a house in phases. If you don't have that money to build the house of your dream, you can build a room, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and you can live there. You can move in, and then you can build the other rooms, the swimming pool, etc. that we would like to build. Okay, so it's incrementally you are delivering, but in both cycles, the solution of the problem is known. Is known. The product scope is defined in the early stages. It means that the bridge, you know what bridge you will build, or the house, you know what house that you will build. Okay, but the approach will be different, but both are traditional. Okay, well, uh, there are also some project life cycles that we call as agile, or he calls agile. One is iterative, that is the continuous improvement. You know the solution, but not the requirements well. You don't know all the requirements. You will build a software, and if you don't know all kind of requirements that the software has. So the client will learn and discover when using, and they will have more and more details for what will be built. This is a iterative um, cycle, okay? And there are also another one that's called adaptative. Adaptative, the solutions are not clear, but the goal is clear. For example, a political campaign. We know that we would like to have the personal exposed with good impressions, etc., but we don't know well how, and we will adjusting based on engagement and feedback. So this is two kind of approaches of agile cycle. And the 51, he says, it's extreme. What is extreme? Extreme, you have high uncertainty project with continuous discovery. With an example, a classical an example is vaccines or curing diseases projects, or R&D, that is research and develop. You don't know exactly what is the solution for cure the cancer, but you have to experiment, and then maybe you have an answer. But even though maybe you don't have a solution, if you have to try. Okay, so those are five kind of cycles that for me make sense. But what we see that all the market does, people say that linear is waterfall, and all other are agile. So it's a kind of interpretation that people believe that linear or waterfall is just one kind of a cycle that makes it prescriptive. But agile is all over others: incremental, iterative, adaptative, extreme, etc. And even worse, They think it's common to see that a good solution for all kinds of agile are Scrum. So Scrum is being used in large kinds of applications and several others. Okay, I'm not against Scrum. No, no, no. Don't think that. I'm saying that maybe we see in the market the misuse of Scrum. And it's not good because we will not deliver all the results that you want because you are using the wrong framework for the situation that you are uh, facing. So it's important to us as a professional to be more critical about that, to know how to use better the frameworks and the methodologies. But some people think, but how do I know how to apply one on another or both? Okay. Well, one approach that you can have is using, for example, the Stacy matrix. It was created in 2002 by Stacy, and it divides the situation. It was created for decision making, the same as the Kinefi that some of you may know. Kinefi framework was created after the Stacy matrix. Okay, that's why I'm using Stacy matrix because it's the first one. And this guy, they uh, observed that the situations can be simple depending on the level of certainty or agreement, understanding of the situation. So if you have a high level of certainty and high level of agreement and understanding of the situation, you are in a simple situation. And in a simple situation, decisions are relatively straightforward and can be managed using routine procedures, okay? Like a process or some activity. So you know how to solve that problem easily because you have experience, etc., etc. But you can have situation what you need political decision made or judgmental decision making that is more uh, technical. Okay, those situations are called complicated. So complicated are the situation what decision may require political decision making or this more technical expertise to solve. Okay. The other ones are the complex. Outcomes are in uncertainty. Decision benefits from broader engagement and actions often require an iterative, learning-oriented approach. Okay, so complex, you don't have the experience before. You have to experiment. It's more empirical. You have to experimental to learn and then to solve. Okay, and the last one is the uh, uh, chaotic, I think, where in areas of both high uncertainty and disagreement. Actually, we don't know what to do. You have to solve uh, the situation, then think how to solve entirely. You have to calm down and then you solve. So these metrics help us to understand where to use the approaches. Okay. So, but what you see, what do you see people doing? Again, they think that Agile can solve everything except simple. They say that simple is for waterfall and Agile is for this part and this part and this part, everything. And some say, including that for chaotic, you can use, for example, Kanban. That's also an agile approach. So Scrum is, again, uh, seen like a solution for all kind of situation. And if you can see another one here, another one, at least he is more, he says that you can use also waterfall for this predict, for complicated situations that are more social or political, require more social or political information, for example. So uh, what I'm trying to say that even though there are tools to help us to understand better how to use, sometimes even those tools are using not the right way, because they are moving us again for this battle that I said before, that's agile and waterfall as two separate things, and make agile more important than the other one. So we see behind this author some kind of bias, and we must be more aware about that, okay? Because it's clear that there is no one size fits all solution. You know, you have different situations, and for those different situations, we have different solutions. So it's very risky to think that one framework can solve all the problems in every one situation. Okay, so let's take an example here. You know how SpaceX, right? They have the Falcon 9 that is a rocket. Before that, rockets were not reusable. It used one day, one time, and that's it. It was not reusable. And 2002, Elon Musk wanted to drastically reduce costs and make rockets reusable. Okay, it was his idea, his mission, his plan for this project. But you can say that they know, they knew what they want, but they didn't know how to do that. It was a new approach, a new form of doing stuff. So they developed the Falcon 9 rocket, designed to have its first stage return to Earth after launch. But they had a lot of failures, right? Between 2013 and 2015, Falcon 9 had several unsuccessful attempts. It was, we saw on the newspaper, on television, they exploded in the air several times, but they were insisting, researching, and looking for a solution. And in 2015, December, Falcon 9 was landed back for the first time. So it was a success. And for now, then, from then on, excuse me, and they start to reuse Falcon 9. In March 2017, it was the first time that he used it. So it's a very iconic situation, iconic that because we saw all those phases of this project. It is a project, right? Because they had a mission, they had to deliver a product, and they know the main requirement that it was had to be reusable, but they didn't know how to do that. They have to experiment, etc. So if you think about Stacy Matrix and think about this project, what, where it would be put in this Stacy matrix for you? Let's say, well, I think most of you, I think the same as I am, think it's a complex situation, right? It's a complex situation because they didn't have the answers. They did have all the requirements. They did have how to do that. They have to experiment, and have feedback and learn, etc. But do you think they use Scrum for that? Can you imagine Elon Musk be interviewed by a PO, and all the engineer and APO were collecting all the requirements and put in a backlog, and they had retrospective, etc., etc. How many people do you think there are in that situation? I think it was uh, maybe 1,000 people. I don't know how many, but it was a big, big company, a big, big effort with a lot of people, a lot of different functions. So it was way more complex that Scrum can deal with, right? So if I think about that again, I would say that for this project, probably they have simple situations. They had some more complicated in the social environment. They have also uh, complicated in technical, but they have also um, a complex one situations, issues, and also I'm sure they had a lot of chaotic situation. So it's not uh, uh, the reality is more complex than just put it in one of those space. And for me, it was very it was a situation or a project that had all this kind of situation in it. So I and this is where a hybrid is very welcome, because you have to be able to use different strategies, different frameworks, different practices, and not be so attached to one and only one approach. Okay, so hybrid project management, we are uh, hearing a lot this expression now because the word is more complex than we supposed to have, especially nowadays. So there is no single definition for hybrid management. Okay, some people think that hybrid, when you blend different practice, even in the same approach like agile, or you are being hybrid. For example, if you think about the Scrum is the mix between Scrum and Kanban, because Scrum don't tell us about how to use metrics, how to, and then you use those metrics from uh, Kanban. You use also the board. You use also, for example, YIP, that work in progress, limitation. So you mix both and you have one that is Scrum. It's a kind of hybrid management, right? But you can also have bases like use Agile and put some uh, predictive practice, or you use Agile and use also some Agile uh, approach. For example, in Brazil, there is a healthcare company. They did a presentation 2 days ago, I think, and they were saying that they use a predictive approach because they are very formal, heavy regulated. They have to follow all the process, but they are using now some agile practice, such as small teams, multidisciplinary teams, and agile rituals. And they told us that it was very good for them because they have now more engagement and people are more, engaged and happy with the project. They have now uh, new dynamics, and it was very good for them. So it's a kind of a hybrid management, right? And the other one, example, a software is typical. If you are using simple Scrum, follow the Scrum guide, you don't have a lot of good practice that could be helpful for you. For example, stakeholder management and product roadmap schedule, and a lot of those practice, they are bringing from other frameworks, not from originally from Scrum, right? So it's kind of a hybrid as well. And but there is another one that I like more, that is combines different life cycles. Remember the life cycles that you saw when we start? We saw five life cycles. You can mix them. For example, you have a construction in Brazil. It is a real project in the south of Brazil that is a 8 4-story building, and they use predictive for physical structure because it's a civil engineer, and they have all the steps they have to do and all the phases, etc. But as it was very new, they have a lot of new technology like fire evacuation systems. They have also to use German uh, technology. They have to understand, to test, to observe, to learn. They have a lot of simulation. So they are using both to have this beauty. It's a kind of hybrid management, right? And another example, if you have a new market product that you will deliver, you can start with design thinking for ideation of the solution. Then you can build the physical structure, and then you can have adaptive for software develop. So those examples are all of them are real, and we can use in our life several times because, as I told before, there is no one solution fits all. So sometimes it is important to understand what to apply to be more effective. So it's important to us to understand better. Okay. Uh, let's see. Well, but I would like to ask you to not not oversimplify, even though it's you can change, you can choose what to use in different phases of projects or different part of the projects. Uh, Hybrid project management is not that easy. It's easy, but it's not that easy. So we have to think about some issues. For example, be aware of culture biases from both worlds. If you have a group that is agelist, they are agile people. They are more used to have a self-management teams. They don't like to be controlled every day. They are more autonomous, right? But if you have people, they're more from predictive way of doing stuff. They need to be direct. They like to be to understand what they have to do. They like to have the activities to do. So you have to balance those two situations when you are mixing approaches, right? Uh, Another thing is change, right? If you are very predictive oriented, you usually you have you accept the change, but you control the change. What means you have a control management system for all changes. You have to evaluate the change. You have to observe, analyze what kind of impact that change will bring to your objectives, your projects, etc. So we control the changes. And for adaptive people, they don't control because change is part of the game. The changes are very welcome because you don't know everything in the early stages. You have to uh, learn, and and with feedback, we will changing naturally. Okay. Other thing is merging decision making because in decision making, more uh, predictive environments usually are more hierarchical. The project manager has the final word, at least is most of the time, or the sponsor, of course. But in the team, the leader is responsible to make the decisions usually, but in adaptive, it's more collaborative. People are more used to have a voice, to express what they want, what they think. So it's more collaborative. Okay. Uh, Another thing that we have to take care when implementing hybrids is potential for confusions. But why? Because it demands a clear and strong leadership and management. Because people uh, have different kind of tools, different kind of do stuff, different kind of behave, and you have to understand that and to avoid confusion between people. Okay, so it demands a good leadership, a strong leadership, and a person that understand both sides, understand very well both words or all these kind of cycles that we said before. Okay, demands a skilled bilingual team. It means that the teams, even though if you are working a part of a project that is more agile, but you should understand what your other what the other teams are doing in other parts of the project. So you would understand what the approach they are having, what tools they are using, etc. So it's very important to the team understand both sides, even though they are specialists in one side, but they should be able to understand the other ways of working. Okay, and requires and adapt a seasoned project manager. If you are using a leader or a project manager, uh, it's better to have one that's very experienced and that can navigate in both sides, that can solve problems in agile environments or more waterfall environment or all the cycles that we saw before. Okay. Well, my first question was, is hybrid management uh, evolution, a revolution, or just a buzzword? What do you think? Well, I think usually people need to have some new stuff to talk about, to sell, etc. I know that, but I don't think it's a revolution, and I don't think it's a buzzword. I'm sure it's evolution. It's a kind of natural thing that we are seeing now that's impossible to have one solution for everything. So it's better to know both and blend when it was more effective. Okay, it is more effective. Sorry. So hybrid manage is a response to the increasing complexity of projects. It is not a passing trend. It is not a fashion, and it's not a buzzword, nor it is a revolution. I see it as an evolution. Okay, the success lies in using what works best to each situation, bring effectiveness, results, and value. The project manager must be familiar with both realities and become versatile to better position themselves in the market and open doors to opportunity. So I think that more and more we have to discuss this, what to use in what situation. We have to also to learn and to apply to understand better, to be more versatile. Um, in a world of increased complexity, it's not about choosing sides. It's about choosing what works best for the job at hand. Be versatile. This is a very difficult word for me. For me, I used to say versatile, but I don't know. So, people, that's what I would like to talk to you. I'm here to answer your your questions, or or argument. If you think different from me, that's okay. We are here to discuss and to learn with each other. Okay. This is my LinkedIn. It was a pleasure to have you follow me, all of you. And usually I write in Portuguese, but also in English. And my I am a Portuguese person, so English is my second language, and I think for you all. And can follow me also on the Drops of Management. That is my English uh, profile at Instagram. Okay. Thank you so much, Evaristo.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Carneiro. Indeed, we had a great webinar with a lot of information. So, as I understood, a project in order to be more resilient and efficient in today, we have to be more open to hybrid approaches, right? But we don't have to exaggerate, of course. So,
Yes.
I will start with a question. Uh, when a project manager can understand that, should understand that is exaggerating with the hybrid approach that he chose to take, what are the signs?
Let me see. Well, of course, there are uh, projects that you can use purely waterfall, and that's enough. For example, my daughter, she married 3 weeks ago, and a wedding is a typical event that you can plan everything in advance. So think about that. If you know everything in advance or in the early stages, you can understand what to deliver. You don't need to be agile, because agile is not nothing about to be fast. It's not about to be rapid. It's about to learn, to have feedback and learn and deliver something that you don't know in advance. Okay. So in the other side, if you are building a software, you can you can use just Scrum or Scrumban, and it's very good for you. But when you are using, for example, developer software, if you use just Scrum, sometimes it's missing some parts of, a good risk management or a good communication plan or a good stuff that you can find in the predictive approach. You can find on PMBOK a lot of good tools and techniques. And why don't use? Even if you are using agile approach, you could use that. Okay. Uh, what that you if you have a complex uh, project like the example I gave is it's very complex. Another one that is complex and have a lot of different kind of cycles. You see clearly that they have some space that you can use agile, some space that can you use uh, more waterfall. So I suggest you to use both in the hybrid management. And but be aware. Do that with professionalism. Okay, not just put like a fashion while you try, but think before how to use, how to approach, train people, and do that right to be wonderful successful for you.
Okay, thank you. We have another question at the chat box from Mr. Lazaratos. Would you say that given the rapid rate of global change, like economic, geopolitical, technological innovation, no mid or long term project can be fully predictive and waterfall?
I don't. I I I think that is if it's a complex, a long term. Uh, Usually, it's a hybrid. It's very difficult to have so a situation that include all just complex, just this approach. So I think that given the rate of global change, uh, it's very important to be hybrid. Oh, agile. It's approach that comes to stay. Okay, it comes to say everybody has to understand to apply agile because it's not just the framework. I'm not saying about just framework. I'm saying about principles, values, the approach, the mindset to delivering parts, to understand, to be incremental. All this situation is very important nowadays. So answering Mr. Panos Lazaratos, I think it's very difficult to find nowadays just a waterfall uh, uh, project, especially if it's a big one, a complex one. If it's a small one like a wedding, you can use waterfall and it works perfectly. But if it's more complex, you usually use both or agile.
Okay, thank you very much. If we don't have any other questions, we can close this session here. Thank you again very much for your time, and we wish that we can see you again.
Yes. In Greece, please.
This would be the best. We will try.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you very much for your time. Bye.
Bye.